lasers online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
In the harsh realities of the brutal world of combat, we must face some key things. First, what you do in a public match with random players is going to be totally different from what you can do in a public match when you're on a coordinated team against random players. And that too will be totally different from what you do in league play. By league play, with the introduction of private lobbies, you are able to coordinate groups and face off against each other in your own private battles up to 12 on 12 and duke it out. There are pros and cons to this because it's different. Even if it's on the same map, when you're facing one group that's coordinated versus random, simply your options change too much. And so that's what we're doing today. In Combat Review, we'll dissect the strategies, the tactics, what works, what doesn't, what seemed like a good idea at the time, and why I will never do that again. At any rate, back to the battle. Here we are on Terra Firma. I'm driving a Thunderbolt. I kind of skipped ahead from some of the start stuff and a few other things in this match that happened because it won't be very interesting. This mech is armed with an AC-2 and an AC-5 in one arm for long range and a bunch of medium lasers and such for short range. It's a public match, so I'm up against random players on a random team. And this greatly dictates what I can and cannot do. I cannot rely on my teammates being well coordinated or even well communicating. You can type in commands to them saying, hey, everyone over here, over there, do whatever. Pretty much players are going to go where they want and do what they want. Some will help and cooperate and some won't. Some, and it's entirely their right to go do whatever they want. It's their game, their choice. Sometimes they don't understand the benefit of what you're wanting to do, and sometimes they may have tried that before, it didn't work out for whatever reason, so they're like, no, that's suicide, I'm going to go do this. Either way, I'm at my favorite position with a pillar to my side, so I have some protection from shots coming at me if I get blindsided. Hiding in close, so anything comes in there I can hit them from the side with my full short-range arsenal. Something I like. Most people call the center section here on Terra Firma Thunderdome. I think Mordor might be more accurate. A few long-range tags for some other players. This map was a little unusual, or this match on this map was a little unusual, because while some players did come in, most of the enemy team didn't come to the map center section here, and most of the friendly players didn't. You see a lot of skirmishing around the edges as they flank around. Normal personal preference, what I like to do is let everyone else go into the center. I'll flank around and get into their backs. Again, I'm trying to avoid the center door. Have a few other players around to help, but I can't really rely on them for close-in support and friendly operations. So it's dictating, I kind of have to respond to the battle where they are and what's going on. I can come out here and do a little bit of dueling and fighting, but I can't really operate in a coordinated team. If I was running with a group in a random match, you're going to be up against a random players who are going to essentially do the same basic public match. And you can see this guy's turned his back on me as he's gone after another target. I have to let some heat drop off. And I shut down just as he dies, which is beneficial. Gives me a chance to cool down. Pause as I let my heat drop. A few other friendlies around as they come up, but we're not really coordinated in a group. Now, if you're able to coordinate in a group, I actually will use the random group behaviors to my advantage, because for the most part, players will go off in essentially a congregated force. They tend to group together. You might have a few go off on their own. Unless they really know what they're doing, they're usually heading for suicide. But what I will do, especially on this map, is I will let everyone else go into the center, kind of skip ahead here, as I flanked around, my normal behavior is flank around to one of the doors and come in the back. So I'll catch the enemy from the back while they're engaging other forces in front of them.
Target.
Again, I'll use their normal group behavior against them because they're thinking, okay, there's the enemy, we'll go fight them. Not really coordinated as one. Very hot map. I don't think it is the hottest map. I think the Hyperpulse Generator one is the hottest. Because it's just so hard to dissipate heat in that one. Don't have much fight left in me here, but I've definitely broken up their group as they've scattered and scrambled around. Often that's my personal objective is simply to create a diversion and distraction so everyone else will scatter and reform, greatly inhibiting their cohesion in operation. Contrast that first match with this one, where I'm in a coordinated team, a full lance of me and some friends running together. We've pushed around on, this is obviously Forest Colony, we've pushed through the cave, and we're kind of taking turns, moving up, taking shots, spreading damage around as we're pushing through. And in a minute I'm going to push around and actually be the first one to go through the opening as we're just taking turns, force them to spread out their damage as we fire on different targets as best we can, trying to group our fire. But once we push through, okay, I guess it wasn't the first one through. Okay. I first want to go all the way in. And what I do is I just pushed in, the others kind of formed in behind me, and I just started firing at the targets I can, and as best we can, we group our fire on specific targets, taking them down as quickly as possible. Taking down the light mechs, the fast mechs, the heavy and assault. The other team was all random players, at least I believe they were all random players. They try to marshal a little bit of a counterattack, but they're not really coordinated. They're coming up not as unified, not concentrating their fire. We're just basically buzzsaw through them. I'm pretty beat up by this point. But we go on to carry the day. Taking on the last mech there. And you see I did over 400 damage actually at the end of this match. We've had times where the four of us on a lance did all the killing in a match. We did all the damage. We really carried the team simply because we were more coordinated. It's not because I personally or any of us are that good of players. We're not bad, don't get me wrong. But we are coordinated. We're working together. Now, what happens if you have a coordinated team versus a coordinated team? Here I am in my Cicadia as part of a league match. This is a match of me and my friends in our group versus another group in a private lobby. I'm trying to do a little bit of scouting. What I'm trying to figure out is where they are and what direction they're going in. Obviously some shot just came in on me there, so I know they're that direction. I'm trying to get a glimpse of what direction they're going. How are they? So my rest of my players can respond accordingly. Now, since they are a coordinated group, they should, for the most part, be together as one cohesive unit. Whereas in a random match, you're going to have, for the most part, together, but you're going to have a few people go off on their own, do different things for different reasons. Whether it be the map and the style that their mech is built after doesn't favor the terrain that they're going for as a group. So there, any number of reasons, they're going to go off on their own. As a coordinated group, you're going to have players assigned certain tasks and duties. I was basically light scout, recon, and once they engaged, I was helping with using my ECM to stop their incoming missiles. But once we engaged, my goal was to swing around and try to do some shots in the back and harass and sow confusion into their ranks. Not sure quite what's going on as far as where and how they are reacting. Is anyone else trying to flank around like I am? So that's why I'm cautiously going around here. Use my speed to get around over here when I see it's clear. Come up, and I'm right behind their formation. Picking the furthest back one so that he won't see any shots coming in, striking another player. In the heat of battle, he is not noticing the incoming fire. Duck down a little, take some cover, put some shots on this guy. Try to show a little bit of confusion, and I'm taken out. Well, what got me? The other team had a player doing Overwatch. What that is basically he was sitting back there probably with 2 gauge rifles, just doing Overwatch, trying to watch their flank, do sniper support, etc. Alright, here I am in another league match against 2 coordinated groups, running my Cicadia. I ran out here in advanced and trying to get some sensor readings on where they are, if they're coming around this side or another side. I'm not sure how well it'll pick up, and you'll be able to see it in here, but if you look at my display, you'll see some red dots come in as my seismic sensors pick them up, right there, if you just saw them. So I'm not moving, so they don't know I'm here. The rest of my the players in the group are coming up. Kind of do a quick look over, see where they are. I'm not sure if they're going to rush on to where I am, or if they're holding back a little. So I'm just kind of holding up here, waiting. Once they're set, they're either going to, once the players on my team are set, they're either going to push up. You want them to be formed up. They don't want to come in one at a time. Or the enemy's going to push in. And I've got a little bit of a bind as to what I'm going to do if they push in, because I don't really want to sit and fight. And I really enjoy the fact that they don't know I'm here. It looks like the firefight has begun. You can see on the seismic sensors, the red dots there, they're pushing up and advancing. So I am going to turn and run around on their flank. And run right around them, hoping I don't run into somebody else. And this group does not have somebody on Overwatch. They're just moving up as a group, fighting. And I come up right behind them. So super stealthy. I get a lock on it, one of them with my target. So my wife, who's running LRMs, can fire in missiles upon them. I'm firing at the back one. Totally oblivious to the shots right into his back. Missiles are coming in. They should be coming in shortly. There they are. And he's, with all the missiles coming in, cockpit shake, etc., he is totally oblivious to my shots. And I'm just start tearing into the other one, doing the same thing. See a artillery strike coming in with the smoke up there. At this point, there's not a lot left. Just do a little bit of mop up. They also had a Cicadia, which I thought was surprising. He didn't try to do any kind of maneuverings like what I did, or in the very least try to watch their flank, scout a little. So we're basically chasing down and finishing off the survivors. Look around, make sure the Cicadia was out. And that's what can happen when you have a coordinated group. You can run into some really clever stuff by another coordinated group, such as the Overwatch, or the one before this. Or you can really dominate and tear them up because they were not expecting a flank run. You can do many other maneuvers and situations. When you have a coordinated group, it really is the sky's the limit. Anyway, until next time, game on.